Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 7th April 2021. These are the issues that we'll be dealing today.
The second article for the day, taken from the Financial Express, titled Future Proofing Agriculture, is about how we have to focus on our basics. If we take a look at agriculture as a business, or any business as such, the basic funda is this: input cost can never be greater than output revenue. Do we agree? Yes. The revenue should always be greater than the input cost, otherwise it is a loss making business. So traditionally, agriculture has always remained as a loss making business despite its huge potential. Recently, the Food and Agricultural Organization has reiterated the same point, that globally our food prices are coming down because of economies of scale. In this scenario, unless and until we empower farmers, we cannot actually make agriculture a profitable business. So as long as we are giving subsidies for inputs and not focusing on the output, the results will not change. Now if you take a look at the debate whether MSP is necessary or not, so what is MSP? MSP is like a minimum guarantee or minimum support price. Say for example, in the market, 1000 rupees is the cost that is given to 100 kgs bag of rice. But when you actually take a look at the cost of production, it will be somewhere around 1250. Now as per various committees and the recommendations of CACP, then you will understand that the minimum support price is given by the government because of absence of market forces and supply and demand mismanagement. Just that. So what we have to actually do is ensure that the conditions required for markets to function well should be ensured. Now this is what exactly the farm laws are trying to do, the farm bills. So basically, the problems associated with what we know today as APMCs. Let me give a brief background about this APMCs. In 1950s, just after independence, we were dependent upon US for our food grains through a program called PL 480. Now this PL 480 program has been designed in such a way that every time we needed some grains from United States, we were held hostage for obliging for their request in international politics. So India did not like this. Luckily enough for us, we have had the Green Revolution, which has actually changed the face of Indian agriculture, especially the state of Punjab. Now, even after this production, what was happening was the local dealers were trying to create market distortion. In order to address that problem, we have had the APMC Act and after that MSP. Now, what is the purpose of this APMC Act? So, basically, what APMC tried to do was it first started recognizing the jurisdiction. So, as soon as a farmer produces his produce, back in the day it was collected by middlemen. So, this jurisdiction was demarcated by APMCs, and market mandis or market yards were created, and this is the place where the farmers started selling their produce. Secondly, by doing this and also levying a fee, the government has actually generated some revenue which was again supposed to be reinvested into agricultural marketing infrastructure. But what happened was the same arhatias or the middlemen also took political shape, and APMC was not so successful in a lot of states. However, in states like Punjab, because of the uh, presence of public distribution system and the needs for food security, a formidable MSP regime, that is a minimum guarantee, was given to the farmers. That is the reason why Punjab had this fortune of having a regular MSP. And according to the Shanta Kumar committee report, only 6% of the farmers knew something about MSP. The rest 94% of the farmers did not use MSP. So when today we see the Punjabi farmers carrying out protests in Delhi, it is because they're not to be blamed. We cannot say that just like the rest of the country, Punjabi farmers should also remain poor. That is not the aspiration. A farmer should always be rich or rich enough to feed his entire country. What we should actually aspire for is to ensure that the rest of the 94% also have a, a rich wealth in such a way that it is not dependent on the government. Now, is MSP the way to ensure all that? No. What we have to actually do is, just like in every other sector, today we don't see uh, uh, government trying to intervene in a lot of business areas. Imagine if government monopolized e-commerce, what would have been the situation? You will have to wait days and days together. Say for example, if India Post had a monopoly on e-commerce, would you be getting your daily delivery? Is there any guarantee? There is no incentive for anyone to work hard. So the positive sign of a market is that it allows competition, and the person who is willing to work hard will ensure efficiency to the entire system. Similar logic works to the agricultural sector also. In a scenario where the global prices are falling down, without free market we cannot achieve anything. Yes, there are certain examples like Bihar where despite removing the APMC Act we have not had success. Removing whatever is working perfectly, or even if it is not working perfectly, to some extent it is working inefficiently. If you are removing an inefficient system and not doing anything else, obviously it is bound to fail. So, in such a scenario, the government's role should not only be negative, that is, removing the existing infrastructure, but also should play the positive role of creating the trust in the system. So, this is what was lacking in the farm bills. Now, how do you create this trust? We have to ensure that there is a slow transition towards a market based economy. There should be ample amount of evidences to the farmers across the country that this system is really going to work and it is going to empower their lives. So that is the only way we can ensure a future where the global prices would be falling, and at the same time food security is to be concerned. For all this, we have to free our agricultural markets and revamp our agricultural market yards. So that is the gist of this article.
This article titled Portion Control is with respect to the food wastage in our country. Despite adequate food production, the UN Food and Agricultural Organization, that is UNFAO, has reported that around 190 million Indians remain undernourished. Moreover, it states that every third malnourished child is an Indian. And ironically, the same report also highlights that around 40% of the food produced in India is either wasted or lost. And these 40% wastage is estimated to be costing us around 92,000 crores annually. However, we have to remember that this food wastage is not just wastage at any one stage. We are talking about the entire supply chain, right from harvesting, processing, packaging till the consumption phase. So, in this entire supply chain, nearly 40% is lost, which speaks volumes about the way we are handling our food. Though food wastage is a global problem, India stands a chance to convert this into an opportunity if we can exactly address the issues which are causing this wastage. Now, let us understand a case study. A case study called Safal Outlet, which was discussed in this article. Safal outlets are the outlets which disperse food every day in Delhi. So, it is estimated that on an average, 18.7 kgs of food is disposed of from one Safal outlet every single day. So this suggests that approximately 7.5 tons of food is being wasted across the outlets in Delhi. So approximately 84.7 of the total food waste recorded was thrown in the bin, while the rest was either fed to the poor or some animals. So this means that a significant portion of the food waste bin will still be in an edible condition if we actually utilize it properly. If the edible food waste is diverted, an estimated 2000 people can be fed every single day according to the estimate. So what are the challenges to handle this problem of food wastage? The first one is the pre-consumption loss. Even before we actually start cooking the meal and consuming it, nearly 40% of the food produced in India is wasted. This is because of the fragmented food systems and inefficient supply chains. We have already discussed that. Right from harvesting till it reaches our mouth, even before it reaches our mouth, 40% is already wasted. This is the loss that occurs even before the food reaches the consumer. That is a very significant wastage. Secondly, we are talking about food wastage at household level and businesses. So this results in a staggering 50 kg of food thrown away per person every year in Indian homes. Thirdly, it will increase the greenhouse gas emissions. This excess food will actually end up in landfills, create potent greenhouse gases, which is again an environmental challenge. Now, at the same time, what is the impact of the pandemic? The COVID-19 pandemic has not only exposed the problems of food waste but also increased them or even compounded them because of the lockdown, and the poor are the actual sufferers because poor people like daily wage laborers found it extremely difficult to have access to food. Therefore, this calls for a complete behavioral change. This is a very important aspect of any policy to work because food wastage basically is about how we handle our food. Either we try to overfeed ourselves with an expectation to eat more and then not eat it and just discard it. We have to move towards a mindset where we calculate our purchases when buying groceries, minimize the single use packaging wherever possible, order very consciously from restaurants. Just because there are some offers, we just don't buy it extravagantly. We don't go for buffets which lead to excessive food wastage. All this together comprise the behavioral change aspect of this food wastage problem. We have to inculcate this so that we move forward. Secondly, there is an interesting concept called the food bank. Whenever you see that food is being wasted, this food bank concept is like where edible food will be made available throughout the day when you go there. So the option of distributing through food banks can also be explored, as there can be a lot of non-governmental organizations, private actors who actually want to contribute to this food wastage problem. We can tap their energies and make this food bank concept actually work at a community level. If we have to take a look at the international precedents, we can take a look at the best practices and laws in countries like, say, for example, European countries like France, where the order is to check spoilage and destruction of edible food, and the same can be implemented in our country as well. In France, supermarkets prioritize the reduction, reuse, and recycling of extra food rather than just discarding it. We can adapt the same practices as well. So, in a way, if we have awareness about our duty to minimize food wastage, it will change the way our society addresses the hunger issues. This must be taken into account, and in order to attain a truly sustainable India, we need to have millions well-nourished people having adequate food production and in a good state of mind and health. This is the gist of this article.